January 2005. Two people. A pallet of surplus server hardware bought for £100. A decommissioned enterprise machine installed under a staircase in Luton, connected to the internet through a standard domestic broadband line. No investors, no corporate backing, no plan to get bought out, just a search engine that didn't track you. At the exact moment tracking was becoming the invisible substrate of the entire commercial web, that was Snipesearch, and it has been running continuously ever since. By November 2013, the same team launched Snipe Social, a privacy-first social network built on exactly the same founding principle. Your data is not a product. Not then, not now. When Facebook was still figuring out its privacy scandal. When Instagram was still a photo filter app. When TikTok didn't exist. Snipe Social was already live, already growing, already committed to principles that most platforms are still pretending to care about. Over 2 decades of operation. Not a pivot. Not a rebrand, not a startup looking for an exit. The same mission, the same infrastructure philosophy, still running. That matters. Because you've probably heard this pitch before. Independent platform. No tracking. Creator first. And then 6 months later, it's gone, or it's sold, or the principles quietly disappeared when the VC money arrived. The Snipe Group has been here since before most of those platforms existed. And it was built by people who were irritated enough to build a better alternative out of salvage in a garage. That kind of stubborn doesn't quit. Now, let's talk about what you built and what this ecosystem can actually do for it. Let's talk numbers, because the numbers on mainstream platforms are a lie. 2 million followers sounds enormous until you post something and only 4,000 people see it. That's a 0.2% reach. The platform hijacked the other 99.8 just to sell it back to you. In the Snipe ecosystem, if 1,000 people follow you, 1,000 people actually see your content. No filter, no throttle, no algorithm. 1,000 real followers here deliver the same engagement as 100,000 suppressed ones on a corporate feed. That's not marketing. That's what unthrottled means. The Snipe Group isn't one platform. It's an ecosystem. 6 interconnected nodes, each purpose-built for what you actually do. None of them trying to be everything to everyone, which is exactly why each of them works. Snipesocial.co.uk, the flagship and your home base. It's a familiar environment based on the Web 2 social networking designs with none of the algorithmic mess. If you're a Twitch streamer, a comedy video creator, or a model selling content to fans, or anyone who makes money from a direct relationship with their audience, you are free to run all your promotions here to your third-party pages, and your blue ticks are free. ttwrite.4up.eu. Short-form microblogging for people who have opinions and aren't allowed to express them on, let's call it the former internet town square, without getting quietly buried. Comedy writers, satirists, political commentators, and anyone who has ever had a post vanish into nowhere because an algorithm decided it was sensitive, this is yours. Snipe.pics, federated image sharing on PixelFed and ActivityPub, 15 megabyte uncompressed uploads, no hashtag shadowbans, no aesthetic profiling, no mysterious reach throttle because your modeling aesthetic doesn't match what a brand paid to promote this week. For photographers, models, and visual artists, this is what competitors promised before they decided to become a shopping channel that also shows you videos. Snipesearch.video, self-hosted, decentralized video on PeerTube. No automated strikes from a bot that has never watched your content. If you're a gamer who has had a channel wiped for a copyright claim on 8 seconds of background music, or you want a permanent archive that can't be deleted by a platform policy update on a Friday afternoon, this is it. The Mastodon node. toot.snipesearch.co.uk. Open registration Fediverse microblogging running on dedicated Epic server architecture. For the audience that lives in the decentralized web already and wants to follow you where they actually are. Diaspora.snipesearch.net. Decentralized social networking on the Diaspora protocol. Open registration, self-hosted. Because your audience doesn't all live in the same corner of the internet, and you shouldn't have to pretend they do. Here is something that none of the big platforms will ever say out loud, because it would break their entire business model. On Facebook and Instagram, your followers' social graphs are completely blended. Their mom is on there, their boss is on there, their childhood friends, their colleagues, their ex. Everyone is watching everyone all the time. So, when a fan wants to like your edgy comedy sketch, share your modeling photo, or comment on a piece of alternative content, they hesitate, not because they don't want to. Because the moment they do, that interaction gets broadcast to every single person in their life. Their activity shows up in feeds, algorithms flag it, and suddenly liking your post becomes a social risk. So they lurk, they watch, they enjoy it, and they say nothing. In the Snipe ecosystem, people come specifically to build a curated identity that is detached from their everyday social baggage. There is no mum on the friends list. There is no boss watching the activity feed. When a follower knows that, the friction disappears. They like, they comment, they share, they engage in the way they actually wanted to in the first place. For comedy creators, models, OF creators, alternative artists, this directly translates to higher like-to-view ratios, more active comment sections, and genuine organic shares. Not because the platform is boosting you, but because your audience finally feels safe enough to be honest about what they enjoy. A common objection to moving onto an independent network goes something like this. The local numbers look smaller, so why bother? That misunderstands entirely how federated nodes function. Snipe.pix, Snipesearch video, and the Mastodon node. None of these exist in isolation. They are all connected to the global Fediverse. The moment you publish an image on Snipe.pix or upload a video to Snipesearch video, those nodes immediately syndicate that content outward in real time to connected instances across the entire world. It does not matter if local activity looks quiet on a Tuesday afternoon. Your content is broadcasting to a decentralized global network simultaneously. On top of that, everything feeds back into the Snipesearch index. Every post, every video, every image acts as a native signal source for the search engine. Your content becomes discoverable on the open web without paying for placement and without needing an algorithm to decide you deserve to be seen today. One of the most effective ways to kill audience momentum is a sign-up wall. You build a following somewhere, you tell them to follow you somewhere else, and half of them bounce at the registration form. The Snipe Social Passport is the fix. One account, one identity, accepted across Snipe Social, TT-Right, and Snipe.pix. Your audience follows you from one node to another with a single click. They're authenticated, they're in, and they're already following you before they've had time to get distracted. Mainstream platforms charge you a monthly subscription for a colored tick that still doesn't stop false reporting campaigns from tanking your account. In the Snipe ecosystem, verification is free. It is human confirmed. Real people check your identity, not a payment processor. Moderation is entirely human too. If a comedy sketch gets flagged, a real person watches it. If a model's portfolio is reported, a real person reviews it. A machine does not delete years of work because it cannot tell the difference between art and a policy violation. And underpinning all of it, the Snipe group does not sell your data, does not package your private messages, does not profile your audience for advertising cartels. That has been true since 2005 and it has not moved. This is not a principle adopted for a press release. It is the architecture the entire thing was built on. The infrastructure exists. The question is how you use it. Step 1 is unglamorous, but it works. Treat your existing audience on mainstream platforms as a captive market. Tell them consistently, explicitly, and repeatedly where to find you across the Snipe ecosystem. Every post, every stream, every upload, point them toward your Snipe social presence. Build the parallel audience steadily, before you need it, not after a ban forces the issue. Step 2 is where the ecosystem puts its money behind you directly. Produce a promotional video, anywhere between 50 and 300 seconds. Post it natively anywhere inside the Snipe ecosystem. The network will fund and run that video as targeted advertising across YouTube and Facebook, aiming for roughly 100,000 off-network impressions at zero cost to you. That is big tech's own ad infrastructure being used to pull audiences out of their ecosystem and into yours. There is one hard rule on the video, and it is non-negotiable for a very practical reason. The ad networks that will be used to run your promo use automated AI compliance bots. Those bots are aggressive and they are not subtle. Any nudity, any adult-adjacent imagery, any adult platform branding mentioned by name, and the campaign gets rejected before a human ever sees it. The ad budget disappears and your promo goes nowhere. So the rule is this: fully clothed, always. Safe for work, always. If you are an OF creator, a model, or an alternative content creator, present yourself as exactly that, a model, a performer, an artist, a content creator. Show your personality, show your work in its safest framing, and give mainstream audiences a reason to come and find you. The actual content they came for is waiting for them on the other side. The promo video is just the door. A gamer can show gameplay, a comedian can do a full short sketch. A model can show a behind-the-scenes look at a photo shoot, fully clothed, cinematic, and compelling. 300 seconds is enough canvas to be genuinely interesting without giving the ad bots anything to flag. The ceiling big tech built is not a natural law, it is a business decision that benefits them, and it can be routed around. The Snipe group is not asking you to abandon your audience overnight. It is asking you to stop building your entire operation on infrastructure that is actively working against you and start building something parallel that you actually own. 6 nodes, 1 passport, 2 decades of proof, no data sold, no algorithm hiding your work, and every follower you bring here actually sees what you made. The platform is not the product. You are. It is time the infrastructure reflected that.